Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. Should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawn Hollow today, where we'll be relaxing as. Oh, I didn't even press A. I was like, why is the title screen not going? There we go. Yeah, we'll just be sort of chilling out today, you know, vibing out as per usual. Just played a bit more Baldur's Gate, progressing slowly but surely through the story. Yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say. I guess I'll just go back to the holiday well for conversations. I think we're basically almost at the end of a holiday now, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. There's not much more left to say, so at some point I'm going to have to start thinking more creatively about things to actually talk about again. Actually, you know, thinking of conversation topics rather than just relying on something which is there. But good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawn Hollow, it's 10:11 p.m. on. I clicked too quickly, but it's Friday, 20th of October, 2023. You know what would be cool is to do a compilation, I suppose, of all the times I've read out, like, the time and date for every single day of the Animal Crossing series. And I wonder if there's any days I missed out, but probably are some days I probably missed out, especially towards the beginning. But I feel like I've done it pretty religiously. So, oh my god, look at the cloud passing in the sky. So I feel like I've been rather diligent, I suppose, about reading out every single time. We're actually so far in the album that it's taking time for the rest of the album photos to load in, so I don't even know. Ah, this is an interesting one. Is this basically? This is basically it. And this is like yeah. No, I mean that's literally it. There's not really much more to be saying about these sort of things. I'm just looking through the final photos. So the only other really of note thing is we had one more meal at like a restaurant in that like hotel, which was not too far from where we're staying. There was like there's a street basically with a load of restaurants. I don't know if the hotel owned the restaurants or maybe they just owned the street and there was like a collaboration between restaurants. I don't know. But this was like the last restaurant which we hadn't been to. It's like the sort of more fancier one. It was actually really nice from what I recall. There was definitely one actually of the nicer meals, you know, all things considered, and cost wise as well, like proportionally. But it was an interesting one because it was one where the restaurant took like meals from different parts of Croatia, from what I recall, like different regions all had like different special varieties or whatnot, and then you like mix and match between them, and they told you like stuff about them. It felt like a more fancy, higher class restaurant, like a high, maybe sort of fine dining, but not with all the like excessive expense of fine dining and tiny meal sizes. They had reasonably sized meal sizes, is what I'd say. So for my one of the meals, I can't remember. It was called like poor man's dish or something. I didn't have it. Some other friends had it. He had like it was like this bread thing with, I don't even know what dip this is necessarily. It kind of looks like cottage cheese, but I don't think it was cottage cheese because I think it was a vegan meal. Maybe it wasn't. I don't really remember. But it had a specific name in Croatian. Poor man's dish. Croatian. Sopanic? No, that doesn't look right. Poor man's food? Znaki with yogurt. That doesn't look right. It looked like a bread sort of thing, and it looked like a cottage cheese like dip on the side, but it's not either of those, I don't think. I didn't take a picture of the menu, so I don't really know what it is, but it was probably pretty good. I don't even think I tried it. Some of my friends had like these spring rolls as a starter, which was interesting. You might be like, hey, you know, you're Chinese there, darling, what do you think about spring rolls? I think they're fine. They're like a fine finger food. Like if I saw them like as at an assortment, no, not assortment, as like finger food at a party, I'm not going to turn my nose up at them or anything like that, but they're not something I go out of my way to eat or anything like that, because they're just okay. There's nothing particularly crazy I emote about them. Anything else to help with? No. And then I had a starter of frog's eggs, which is a very interesting thing. Frog's eggs, of course. Well, I mean, I've always assumed a more traditionally French dish because that's kind of like the stereotype around it. But I don't. Does it necessarily originate in France? I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Frog's legs. Is it traditionally in France? Also in China, apparently. Unsurprisingly, China has a lot of wild meals out there. I mean, it's a thing where, especially with like Chinese foods, like the reason I suppose there's this like difference between Chinese foods and English foods. Like I know there's a stereotype between like Chinese foods, but like what would be like anything? Pig's tongue, pig's ear. Like what is this? it's sort of like rooted in the idea of a traditional idea of, well, I'm not sure if it's necessarily traditional because it's not necessarily something I disagree with either, that if you're going to eat an animal, you should eat the whole of the animal. You shouldn't waste things basically from it. You know, I don't know necessarily how spiritually related it is. I mean, I can certainly see the justification of it being like, if you are using this animal's body, I suppose, for sustenance or something, it's wasteful to like leave any of it thrown out. You kind of want to minimize it. You should get all your nutrition you can from it. Nowadays, I'm sure that's not really long of a case. It's not like we're struggling for food or anything. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because that's of course a very privileged position to come from, but it's more like the world, because of like industrial agricultural farming and that sort of thing, producing food is certainly a lot easier than it was back in the day when we were like hunter-gatherers. So maybe that sort of tradition has died out. I don't really know. But there was an interesting statistic. I can't remember the exact statistic, but like the percentage of people that had to be farming to be able to sustain the amount of food production, the food consummation, I suppose, of the human population just drops so rapidly over like the past like century or so, due to the advent of like the industrial revolution and technology. Well, I guess industrial revolution is probably more than 100 years ago, right? I don't remember. But that sort of thing. I'm not a history buff, so forgive me, I don't know the exact measurements for it. But yeah, had frog legs, and it was like frog legs wrapped in prosciutto, I think, or some sort of Parma ham, some sort of like, I don't know if it's Spanish ham, but some sort of cured ham meat. Now, I'm not someone who's like particularly crazy about like protein or something like that. I'm not someone who's like, oh, give me the barbecue, I love meat. I said this before, like the only meat I'm just like, yeah, thumbs up for is like chicken. The rest of them I'm like, take them or leave them. So most of the times when I eat things, I only eat chicken, and I've got nothing, of course, against vegetarian meals or anything like that. I'm not vegetarian. I'd like to preface that. I'm not going to claim stolen valor or anything like that. But frog legs were actually surprisingly tasty. They were surprisingly soft and tender, is what I'd say. It shocked me. Like, I'm not really a person who gets all that grossed out about food. If you go like snails, eating snails. I have actually had snails before. Even when I was younger, I wasn't like, ew, snails. I'd be like, I'd give it a shot. As I say, I'm very sort of laissez-faire when it comes to experiences. Why not? It's sort of like the ongoing justification I have. So yeah, and you might be like, you've had snails before? Yes, actually, in a year 7, year 8 trip, or no, year 8. Maybe it's year 9 trip. I can't remember. Year 9 trip. It was called a battlefields trip, where basically it was concurrently with a study of the world wars, because that's basically one of the biggest things you cover in GCSE history. At least, well, in our school, is we covered World War. If you took GCSE history, you would basically start from just before World War One to the end of a Cold War. Is basically the time period you study. Modern history, I suppose. And one of the things you do is, of course, you go to France and a bit of Belgium to see, like, to learn more about history, to like see the actual grounds of the battlefields and things that took place in World War, like where all this fighting and tragedy took place. But one of the things that we did while there is like we got to eat like loads of different foods. Of course, all these cuisines not prepared by our teachers, but like organised by the teachers. And one of them I think was escargot. Actually, now I think about it, I don't even know if it was that trip, because for some reason in my mind it's a different trip where this happened. It was actually a year 7 trip where we went on like to a sailing camp or something for a week, which I actually spoke about, I think, on the renting out a boat episode. But either way, one of those 2 trips, we had a thing where we got to try snails, and I tried it, and I will tell you that it's fine. Like, the ones we had were like drowned in garlic butter, so the only thing I basically tasted was garlic and butter. Like, you can't really taste the snails at all. They don't really have that like crazier texture. It's not like even particularly like slimy or anything. It's certainly tougher than you might expect, I think, and it's got like a sense of chewiness to it. But I don't know. It's a thing with like insects nowadays are becoming a much more popular. I say more popular. It's more like more widely known, I think. I'm not sure people are really catching on to it yet, but form of protein, because it's much more sustainable, isn't it, to farm like insects rather than farming like cattle, and etc. Like some of the largest producers of greenhouse gases or something, which of course is not something we want for the world. But like insects like produce like minuscule amounts or something, so it's a thing, like especially in some cultures. I can't tell you what cultures because I'm not certainly well versed enough, cultured enough to really tell you. But some of them will just eat insects, prepared probably in some way. I don't think you just pick an insect off the ground and just eat it. That's probably inadvisable for, well, literally anything. Well, maybe not literally anything, of course. You know, you can probably pick like an apple tree and you can eat the apple and it's probably fine, etc., etc. Most fruits and vegetables are pretty decent for that. Some aren't though, you know, surprisingly. Like, if you think about it, it's like potatoes. You are definitely something you can't eat. Well, it's not you can't eat raw, but you're not meant to eat raw. Like, there's a very good chance you get I can't remember if it was like some mold-based infection or something from it. So it's something like that. Which, you know, when I was younger, very much surprised me. It was like, oh, you can't eat raw potatoes? It just feels a bit weird, if anything. I guess it's a distinction in my mind, right? If it's like something grown from a plant, oh yeah, of course you can eat it wild, why not? And then as an animal, it's something which becomes cooked, right? Because of like potential parasites or something. But now, you know, it's all turned on its head with sashimi. You know, you can eat raw fish. You can't eat raw potatoes. Can't eat raw yams, all these sort of things. Wild. Anyway, it's frog's legs. I even took a picture of a note card, which I don't know if I can read. Traditional vessel. Oh yeah, and it came in like this little like boat thing, which was a traditional vessel from Neretva Valley. The bowl of a trooper in Croatian is also known as the Neretva Hole due to this really blurry. Is the next picture better? Due to its originality in the Neretva Valley, it's a traditional vessel in this most southern valley in Croatia. Yeah, it basically just looks like a boat. I mean, what else can I say? Yeah, and they gave us frog's legs, which is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sort of feels rather inefficient, I suppose, per like, you know, while I do subscribe to the idea of like, you know, if these sort of things should not be wasteful. Like, it feels pointless to be wasteful with eating like meat from an animal. I forgot where I was going with this. But oh yeah, that's it. It feels like the payout ratio, I suppose, from frogs is surely not that high. It's a bit strange, I suppose, in first place, the more I think about it. Yeah, I don't really know. Like, it's sort of something which was like, it was surprising. Okay, how would I say it's better than I expected, but it wasn't something I would go like crazy for or anything like that. You know, we might be like. Do you recommend going out right now, getting some frog's legs, you know, and trying them at your local restaurant? I mean, you can if you want. If you're like a foodie, you want to try a load of different things, why not, I suppose, at that point. But it's not like, I don't know, you know, maybe some French people will come along and they'll correct me and they'll be like, it is actually something super special, you know, prepared XYZ way. And I'll be like, fair enough, you know, but, you know, it wasn't very great, and I wasn't crazy about it or anything. Again, I'm not crazy about a lot of food, so perhaps this is sort of like a biased opinion. I guess it just surprised. It was better than I expected. Not that I was expecting it to be necessarily bad. I don't really know what I was expecting, to be honest. I guess I kind of went in with no expectations. I mean, there's not much story behind it. It's just I sort of went, whoa, frog's legs on this menu. I guess I'll order that, because that's certainly something I've not had before. And that's sort of just my, I was going to say my reason of being. That's very much not true, but my sort of motto for a lot of going to restaurants and eating food is, have I had this before? Nope, let's buy it. Well, not buy it, let's try it. The exception is if I go to a restaurant multiple times, then I sort of like settle into my thing. You know, things like fast food chains, McDonald's and Nando's especially. You know, I've been to them so many times. I know what I like. I've tried basically everything on the menu now. It's sort of like all right, you know, just stick to the stuff you know. In the infamous words of a High School Musical song, which is kind of going against the antithesis of the entire point of a movie, but still, not the song. Me subscribing to the ideology it's talking about is going against the moral lessons it's trying to teach you. So yeah, there's not really much of a story behind it. This is kind of it. I don't know. It just feels very inefficient. Like, why the frog's legs? Why not the rest of the frog as well? I guess is what my mind sort of goes to. Like. But you had to get the legs from somewhere, right? Obviously, you know, but I don't think genetic modified meat is quite at the stage of being able to replicate meat perfectly enough. Which honestly, if it is, I'm all on board, to be honest. I'm trying to think, like, what sort of like beyond meat-esque things have I tried and have I liked? Apparently there's one in KFC which is apparently really good. I've yet to try it. I should at some point. I've kind of forgotten about it. I had one at McDonald's. McDonald's one was surprisingly good. The faux chicken one. It's of my opinion that I think the fake chicken meats tend to be some of the better ones. Like there's this like fake chicken zinger burger or something I had. Like these oven-based ones, which was actually surprisingly good. But the meat ones, just I don't know, they're not it. IMO. Oh, do the wisps run away from you? I actually never noticed that. I mean, I guess I haven't done a lot of wisp catching things. Or maybe they're just on a cycle pattern. So I don't know, frog's legs. It's just... I mean, okay, I was going to say it's just a bit weird. No, I can see the justification behind it, right? I mean, the point of meat is you often... Well, I don't know. I'm not like a meat expert or something, but it's... The meat that you choose to have from an animal, whatever, is not often the one which is the most muscular. Necessarily, right? Because that is often quite like hard meat or something. I don't know. What am I talking about? I should not talk about things I don't know. You won't believe what my horoscope said about me is both wacky and legit bonkers. Legit bonkers. Is that anything like nonsense? Because horoscopes are all just total nonsense. It said, you'll meet good fortune on your travels. How bonkers is that? The answer is very, because I'm someone who loves a good fortune. But isn't that a good thing? How's that bonkers? What is bonkers? And then I went shopping. There's a fall sale on, and I bought a super cute dress. I'm dying. Hold on. Are you okay? Don't die. But then I tried on a new outfit and hit the island and it started pouring and I got soaked. So that horoscope like bombed. I think I need to go buy a new dictionary. I love the fact that Audie just kept speaking, just completely unawares of whatever Apollo was saying. Audie had a story to tell and she was here to tell it. I don't really have anything else to say about frog sex, I suppose. It's more like unusual foods in general. But I feel like my scope of what is considered an unusual food is not that unusual. Because I feel like a lot of unusual foods, and, you know, there's a lot of Chinese foods which, you know, by Western standards, of course, are considered unusual, you know. But would I consider them unusual? Not really. I don't, like, go crazy for them or anything. There's one in particular, actually, I forgot to talk about. It was like fish eye. That's one which people like find very, very strange. But fish eye is pretty good, you know. Oh, it's not like amazing or anything. Like nothing. I feel like is okay. Maybe not like nothing, but not many things are like 10 out of 10. But it's like fine. Like it's just like as things go, it's just like another edible part, right? Maybe I'm being a bit too dismissive. But actually, this did happen. When we're at one of the restaurants, one at the national park, a friend ordered a fish, and I was like, oh, you should eat the fish eye. And then he was like, okay, you have one too. And I was like, okay, I had one, and it was like pretty good. And he had one, and it was like, it doesn't taste great. And I was like, I think you just had like the outer shell part of it. Well, I'm not sure about outer shell part of the eye. I'm not really sure what a fish anatomy is like. But there's like this hard outer part, and then like the soft part of the eye that you're actually meant to eat inside. It was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since we helped Wisp, but I suppose, well, while he's here and it's late at night, why not give him a lending hand? So yeah, I don't know. Frog's legs? Is that what I'm going to title today's episode? That maybe more like unusual foods. I don't know what else is unusual food. Haggis is like a Scottish food which is considered unusual. Apparently it's actually just like pretty delicious though. I'm wanting to try it. I don't know what most unusual foods are. Maybe I will just call it frog legs. I don't know, because that's kind of what I mostly spoke about. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's up farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. My outro is too long.